Welcome to Global Draft, a place where maps turn into meaning, where geography becomes storytelling, and where every country, no matter how small, matters. There are places on Earth that whisper their stories, and then there are places that burn them into history. As our planet turns, as continents shift, one small yet powerful land emerges between Europe and Asia. Azerbaijan, a country carved by fire, forged by empire, shaped by oil, defined by survival. Welcome to Global Draft. Today, we begin a cinematic journey into one of the most strategically important and culturally layered nations on Earth. A place where ancient flames rise naturally from the ground, where medieval walls stand beside futuristic skyscrapers, where East meets West, not symbolically, but geographically, politically, and culturally. This is not just a travel documentary. This is power. This is history. This is identity. This is geopolitics unfolding on a landscape of mountains, deserts, and sea. Azerbaijan sits on the western shore of the Caspian Sea. To the north, Russia. To the south, Iran. To the west, Armenia and Georgia. To the east, endless waters. For thousands of years, empires have marched through this territory. Persians, Romans, Arabs, Mongols, Ottomans, Russians. Each left a mark. None erased the flame. Before oil refineries, before pipelines, before glass towers pierced the sky, fire itself defined this land. Natural gas seeps through the earth here. Flames erupt from rock formations, eternal, untamed. Ancient civilizations believed these fires were sacred messages from the divine. That belief gave birth to temples, rituals, spiritual identity. Centuries later, fire would once again define Azerbaijan, but this time through oil. In the late 19th century, Baku became one of the world's most important oil capitals. Industrial tycoons, global powers, and empires all turned their eyes toward this land. Oil changed everything. It brought wealth, it brought invasion, it brought global attention. But Azerbaijan is more than resources. It is poetry echoing through narrow stone streets. It is mugam music vibrating through historic halls. It is carpets woven with centuries of symbolism. It is mountain villages where time seems frozen. It is Formula One cars racing beneath medieval walls. It is one of the few nations in the Muslim world that operates as a secular republic. It is a country balancing powerful neighbors while protecting its sovereignty. And at the center of its modern story lies political continuity, a leadership that has shaped Azerbaijan's path for decades. But to understand modern Azerbaijan, we must travel back before independence, back before the Soviet Union, back before Islam, to caves carved with human hands, to tribal kingdoms, to ancient Caucasian civilizations long forgotten. Over the next chapters, we will uncover the prehistoric tribes of Gobustan, the Persian and Roman struggles for dominance, the oil boom that transformed Baku, the Soviet era and independence, the Aliyev era of modern governance, the breathtaking geography of the Caucasus, the culture, cuisine, and identity of its people, the cities that define it, and the secrets hidden beyond the tourist maps. This is Azerbaijan, the land of fire, and this is only the beginning. Azerbaijan is not simply a country on a map. It is a crossroads, a living bridge between continents. When you look at a globe, you'll see something remarkable. Azerbaijan lies exactly at the intersection of Eastern Europe and Western Asia. This positioning has shaped its destiny for thousands of years. Geography here is not passive, it is powerful. To the north rise the greater Caucasus Mountains, rugged, snow-capped, dramatic. These peaks form a natural barrier against Russia. When you look at a globe, you'll see something remarkable. Azerbaijan lies exactly at the intersection of Eastern Europe and Western Asia. This positioning has shaped its destiny for thousands of years. To the west, borders with Armenia and Georgia reflect political tension and regional alliances. To the east lies the Caspian Sea, the largest inland body of water on Earth, holding beneath it vast energy reserves. This is strategic territory. But beyond strategy lies identity. The people of Azerbaijan speak Azerbaijani, a Turkic language closely related to Turkish. Yet their architecture, poetry, and cuisine show deep Persian influence. Religion? Predominantly Shia Muslim. Government? Officially secular. Culture? A unique blend of Turkic roots, Persian elegance, Soviet legacy, and modern ambition. Few countries embody East meets West as literally as Azerbaijan. Walk through Baku's old city, known as Isheri-Shahar, and you step into medieval stone alleyways, caravanserais, and centuries-old mosques. Walk 10 minutes further, and you'll stand before ultra-modern architectural icons shaped like flames, symbolizing the eternal fire beneath the land. Ancient and futuristic, side by side. But Azerbaijan's diversity goes far beyond its capital. Travel north to the Caucasus villages, and you'll find communities living much as they did centuries ago. Stone houses clinging to mountainsides, traditions preserved through generations. Head south toward Lankaran, and the climate shifts. Subtropical greenery replaces dry terrain. Tea plantations stretch across rolling hills. Drive west, and the landscape turns rugged and dramatic. Azerbaijan contains 9 out of 11 climate zones found on Earth. Deserts, forests, mountains, semi-tropical plains, all within one country. Its population of around 10 million is young, dynamic, and increasingly urban. Baku alone houses nearly a quarter of the nation's people. Yet rural traditions remain strong. Hospitality, tea culture, respect for elders, family bonds. Politically, Azerbaijan occupies a delicate position. It maintains strong ties with Turkey, strategic cooperation with Western energy markets, complex relations with Russia, ongoing tensions with Armenia over Nagorno-Karabakh. Balancing these forces requires careful diplomacy, and Azerbaijan has become skilled at navigating these pressures. But beyond politics and geography lies something more powerful: resilience. For centuries, this land has been invaded, divided, influenced, absorbed, yet it has always re-emerged with a distinct identity intact. Azerbaijan is neither fully European nor fully Middle Eastern. It is neither purely traditional nor entirely modern. It is layered, complex, strategic, and deeply proud. As we move forward, we will uncover how ancient civilizations shaped this land, how empires fought to control it, and how oil transformed it into a modern geopolitical player. Because to understand Azerbaijan today, you must understand where it began. And that journey starts tens of thousands of years ago, in caves carved with stories of humanity's earliest footsteps. Before oil, before Islam, before even the word Azerbaijan existed, there were flames, and there were hands carving stories into stone. 40,000 years ago, early humans walked across what is now Gobustan. They hunted wild bulls. They fished along ancient shorelines. They gathered around fire for warmth and protection. And they left behind proof. More than 6,000 petroglyphs carved into rock. Dancers, hunters, animals, ritual scenes. These are not just drawings. They are humanity's earliest voice in the Caucasus. The land was alive long before empire. But as centuries passed, tribes evolved into structured societies. By the first millennium BCE, a powerful civilization emerged, Caucasian Albania. Not related to modern Albania, this was a distinct kingdom of the Caucasus. They built fortresses in mountain strongholds. They developed their own script. They resisted some of the greatest empires of the ancient world. Because Azerbaijan was never isolated, it was strategic, and strategy invites conquest. First came the mighty Achaemenid Persian Empire. Under Cyrus the Great and later Darius, the region was absorbed into a vast imperial system. Persian governance brought roads, administration, trade networks, but more importantly, religion. Zoroastrianism flourished here. Fire was sacred. Temples were built where natural flames burst from the earth. In these lands, fire was not metaphor. It was divine presence. Even today, the eternal flames remind Azerbaijan of this ancient spiritual legacy. But Persia's dominance would not last forever. From the west came a new force, Alexander the Great. Though his direct control was brief, his conquest fractured the Persian Empire and reshaped the region. One of his generals, Atropates, established a kingdom here. From his name, Atropatene, historians believe the modern word Azerbaijan may derive. The land was beginning to form its identity. Then came Rome. Roman legions pushed eastward, clashing with local rulers and Persian forces. Mountain passes echoed with marching boots. Shields clashed, empires collided. Yet once again, Azerbaijan survived between them. Then rose the Parthians, then the Sassanids. Each empire saw value in this territory. Why? Because Azerbaijan controlled trade routes, because it connected worlds. Then, in the 7th century, a new wave arrived. Arab armies. The Islamic Caliphate expanded rapidly across the Middle East and into the Caucasus. Islam spread through the region. Gradually, the religious identity of the land shifted. Zoroastrian temples gave way to mosques. Arabic script influenced language. But local rulers remained influential. Among them, the Shirvanshahs. This dynasty would shape medieval Azerbaijan for centuries. They built palaces, caravanserais, mosques, many still standing in Baku today. The Silk Road flourished. Caravans carrying silk, spices, and ideas passed through. It was no longer just a battleground, it was a commercial artery, a bridge between East and West. But peace was fragile. In the 13th century, the Mongols thundered across the steppe. Cities burned, fortresses fell. Later came Timur, known in the West as Tamerlane, bringing further destruction. And yet, each invasion layered more identity onto the region. Turkic tribes migrated into the area. Language evolved, culture blended. Persian refinement, Turkic roots, Caucasian resilience. By the late medieval period, Azerbaijan had become a cultural mosaic. But another rivalry loomed, the Ottoman Empire and Safavid Persia. For centuries they battled. Each war redrew boundaries, each treaty shifted influence. But Azerbaijan endured, absorbing influence without losing its core. And then, in the 19th century, a different empire entered the story, the Russian Empire. But that is where the ancient world ends, and the modern era begins, because what came next would not be shaped by swords. It would be shaped by oil, and it would change the global balance of power forever. The ancient era ended not with silence, but with smoke, thick, dark, rising from the ground. In the early 19th century, Azerbaijan's destiny shifted dramatically. In 1813 and 1828, after a series of wars between Persia and the Russian Empire, large parts of modern-day Azerbaijan were annexed by Russia. The Caucasus had entered a new chapter. The Russian Empire was expanding southward, seeking access to warm waters, trade routes, and influence. Azerbaijan became a strategic frontier. But beneath its soil lay something far more valuable than territory. Oil. At first it was primitive. Locals had long collected oil from shallow wells, using it for lighting and medicine. But by the mid-1800s, industrial drilling began, and Baku exploded into global significance. By the 1870s, wooden derricks filled the skyline. The air smelled of crude and ambition. Investors from Europe flooded into the region. Among them were the Nobel brothers. Yes, the same family behind the Nobel Prize. They revolutionized oil extraction and transportation. Soon, Baku was producing more than half of the world's oil supply. Let that sink in. More than half. At one point, Baku outproduced the United States. The city transformed almost overnight. Steamships lined the Caspian port. Railroads connected oil fields to refineries. Magnificent mansions rose beside industrial complexes. Baku became a city of extremes, immense wealth and harsh labor side by side. Industrialists grew powerful. Workers toiled in dangerous conditions. Oil was no longer just fuel, it was influence, it was leverage, it was global power. But oil wealth brought instability. The early 20th century was turbulent. Ethnic tensions rose between Armenians and Azerbaijanis. Revolutionary ideas spread from Russia. socialist movements gained momentum among oil workers. In 1905, unrest erupted in Baku as revolution swept through the Russian Empire. Then came World War I and the collapse of Imperial Russia in 1917. Suddenly, power vacuums emerged across the Caucasus. And in 1918, Azerbaijan made history. The Azerbaijan Democratic Republic was declared. It became the first secular democratic republic in the Muslim world. Women were granted voting rights. Parliament was formed. A modern state was taking shape. But it was fragile, caught between Ottoman forces, British intervention, Bolshevik ambitions, and regional conflict. The young republic lasted only 23 months. In April 1920, Bolshevik troops entered Baku. Azerbaijan was absorbed into the Soviet Union. Another chapter began. Under Soviet rule, oil production intensified even further. Baku became a critical energy center for Moscow. During World War II, Hitler's Germany targeted the Caucasus specifically to capture its oil fields. The battle for the Caucasus was not symbolic. It was strategic. Without Azerbaijani oil, the Soviet war machine would have struggled to survive. Baku fueled tanks, planes, trucks, entire offensives. The city's energy powered one of the most decisive conflicts in human history. But Soviet control came with strict governance. Industry expanded, education systems modernized, urban infrastructure developed. Yet political freedoms were limited. Identity was shaped within the framework of the Soviet system. For decades, Azerbaijan functioned as the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic, a vital industrial component of a massive superpower. Growing nationalist sentiment. And once again, Azerbaijan stood at the center of transformation. Because when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Azerbaijan would re-emerge as an independent nation. But independence would not bring immediate stability. Conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh intensified. Political turmoil gripped the young state. The oil industry, once controlled by Moscow, now became the backbone of national strategy. Energy contracts with Western companies reshaped the country's future. Pipelines stretching toward Europe began redefining geopolitical alliances. Oil had shaped Azerbaijan once under empire. Now it would shape it again as a sovereign republic. From wooden derricks in dusty fields to billion-dollar offshore platforms in the Caspian Sea, black gold had rewritten history, and it would continue to do so. Because in the next chapter, a new political era would begin, one that would define modern Azerbaijan for decades to come, the Aliyev era, and the transformation of a post-Soviet state into a regional power. Industrial drums rise, oil flame bursts, fade to black. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. For Azerbaijan, independence returned, but freedom arrived with uncertainty. The early 1990s were unstable. Political struggles intensified. Economic systems built under Soviet control fragmented overnight. And the conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh escalated into full-scale war. Territory was lost. Thousands were displaced. The young republic faced a defining moment. In 1993, a familiar political figure returned to leadership. Haydar Aliyev, a former Soviet Politburo member with deep political experience. He assumed the presidency during a period of internal turmoil and external pressure. His priority was clear: stabilize the state, centralize authority, restore economic functionality. But the true turning point would come not from politics alone, it would come from energy. In 1994, Azerbaijan signed what became known as the Contract of the Century, a massive oil agreement between Azerbaijan and a consortium of major international energy companies. It was more than a contract, it was a strategic pivot toward the West. The Caspian Sea held vast offshore oil reserves, and Azerbaijan positioned itself as a gateway between Central Asia and European markets. The Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline was constructed, stretching over 1,700 kilometers to the Mediterranean Sea. It bypassed Russia. It bypassed Iran. It redefined regional power dynamics. Suddenly, Azerbaijan was no longer just a post-Soviet republic. It was a critical energy partner. Oil revenues surged, infrastructure projects expanded, the capital transformed rapidly, modern skyscrapers rose, highways expanded, international events were hosted. The state consolidated control while projecting strength and modernization. In 2003, after Heydar Aliyev's death, leadership transitioned to his son, Ilham Aliyev. The continuity signaled political stability. Under Ilham Aliyev, Azerbaijan continued expanding its energy strategy. The southern gas corridor became a major European energy route. Gas from the Shah Deniz field began flowing westward, reducing European dependence on Russian supplies. Geopolitics shifted again. Azerbaijan strengthened ties with Turkey, maintained working relations with Russia, engaged economically with the European Union, balanced carefully between competing powers. Domestically, infrastructure development accelerated. Baku transformed into a modern metropolis. The Heydar Aliyev Center became a symbol of futuristic ambition. The city hosted Eurovision, Formula One Grand Prix, European Games, international diplomacy summits. The message was clear: Azerbaijan was open for global visibility. But political governance remained centralized. Critics pointed to limited opposition space. Supporters emphasized stability and economic growth. The government prioritized national security and territorial integrity. And in 2020, the long-standing conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh escalated again. In a 6-week war, Azerbaijan regained significant territories. A ceasefire brokered by Russia altered the regional map. The outcome reshaped national confidence and regional calculations. Energy wealth funded military modernization. Strategic alliances proved decisive. Azerbaijan emerged with strengthened territorial control. Today, the country stands as a regional energy hub. Pipelines connect the Caspian to Europe. Gas exports influence continental markets. Oil revenues remain central to state policy. But diversification efforts are underway. Technology sectors, logistics corridors, renewable energy projects in the Caspian. The government promotes Azerbaijan as a bridge between Europe and Asia, a transit corridor for trade, energy, and digital infrastructure. From Soviet collapse to energy diplomacy to regional military assertion, modern Azerbaijan's story is inseparable from power. Power of resources, power of geography, power of leadership continuity. The Aliyev era has defined more than 3 decades of governance. It has shaped infrastructure, foreign policy, economic direction, national identity in the post-Soviet era. And yet, Azerbaijan's future will depend on how it navigates the next global shift. A world transitioning away from fossil fuels. A region balancing between superpowers. A younger generation stepping forward. The land of fire still burns, but the flames now fuel pipelines, diplomacy, and ambition. And the story is far from over. Deep bass hit, skyline glows, fade to black. Azerbaijan is often described through its politics, through its oil, through its strategic position. But to truly understand this nation, you must look at the land itself. Because geography here is not background, it is destiny. To the north, the greater Caucasus Mountains rise like a fortress wall. Jagged, snow-covered, towering above 4,000 meters. These peaks have shaped trade, defense, and culture for centuries. Mountain villages cling to steep slopes. In places like Kinalug, life unfolds above the clouds. Stone houses stack upon each other like steps to the sky. For generations, isolation preserved dialects, customs, and ways of life that feel untouched by time. The Caucasus Mountains are not just scenic, they are strategic. Historically, they formed a barrier against northern invasions. They defined borders. They influenced migration. And they continue to define climate patterns across the country. Descending from these heights, the land transforms. Rivers carve deep valleys through rock. Canyons slice through ancient geological layers. Spring brings wildflowers to alpine meadows. Winter blankets the peaks in heavy snow, turning regions like Shardag into ski destinations. Yet just a few hours away, the terrain shifts dramatically. The Absheron Peninsula stretches into the Caspian Sea. Here, the land is dry, wind-swept, almost lunar in appearance. Semi-desert landscapes dominate the horizon. And beneath this arid soil lies the energy wealth that shaped modern Azerbaijan. The Caspian Sea itself is a geographical marvel, the largest enclosed inland body of water on Earth. It behaves like an ocean. It shapes coastal climate. It supports fisheries, and beneath its surface lie vast oil and gas reserves. Standing on the coastline at dusk, the horizon feels infinite. The sea has connected Azerbaijan to Central Asia, Russia, Iran, and beyond for centuries. But Azerbaijan's geography holds even more surprises. It is home to nearly half of the world's mud volcanoes. These surreal geological formations bubble and erupt, releasing gas and mineral-rich mud. The terrain feels almost extraterrestrial. And then there is Goygol, a lake so clear it mirrors the sky perfectly, formed after an earthquake in the 12th century. Its waters sit peacefully beneath forested mountains. Further west, Gabala's lush forests bring yet another shift in landscape. Green valleys, rolling hills, dense woodlands. Drive south toward Lankaran, and the climate changes again. Subtropical air, tea plantations, humidity rising from the Caspian winds. Palm-like vegetation grows here, something few expect in the Caucasus region. Azerbaijan is one of the rare countries that contains 9 of the world's 11 climate zones. Snowy alpine, semi-desert, temperate forest, subtropical lowlands, steppe plains, all within a small territory. Even more geographically unique is Nakhchivan, an autonomous exclave. Its rocky plateaus and dramatic canyons create another visual identity entirely. Ancient fortresses sit on cliffs overlooking desert valleys. Isolation shaped its culture and defensive architecture. Today, the country stands as a regional energy hub. Pipelines connect the Caspian to Europe. Gas exports influence continental markets. Energy pipelines now follow similar corridors. The land determines possibility. And for Azerbaijan, that land has always offered both protection and opportunity. Today, this diverse terrain fuels tourism as well as national pride. Adventure seekers hike through Caucasus trails. Travelers explore mud volcano fields. Families relax along the Caspian coast. Winter sports attract visitors to mountain resorts. The physical diversity of Azerbaijan mirrors its cultural and political layers. Mountains symbolize strength. The Caspian represents connection. The deserts reflect endurance in harsh conditions. Forests bring renewal. The land of fire is also a land of contrast. Sharp ridges and soft valleys. Frozen peaks and warm lowlands. Ancient stone villages and modern coastal boulevards. Every region tells a different story. And yet, together, they form one cohesive landscape. Powerful, varied, and unforgettable. In Azerbaijan, geography is not just scenery. It is character. It shaped empires. It shaped trade. It shaped defense. It shaped energy routes. And it continues to shape the nation's future. Because the next layer of this story lies not only in the land, but in the life that thrives upon it. From rare wildlife to shifting climate patterns, from alpine ecosystems to Caspian biodiversity. In the next chapter, we explore the natural world that calls this diverse terrain home. Orchestral rise, mountain aerial fades into horizon. Biodiversity and climate, land of 9 climate zones. There is a place on Earth where 9 climate zones exist within the borders of a single nation. A land where snowstorms rage in the mountains, while subtropical forests thrive only hours away. Where desert heat meets alpine winds. Where flamingos rise above wetlands, while leopards move silently through ancient woods. This is Azerbaijan, a biological crossroads between Europe and Asia. Positioned between the Greater Caucasus Mountains, the Lesser Caucasus Range, and the vast Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan holds one of the most diverse ecological systems in Eurasia. Geography shaped history, but it also shaped life itself. To the north, the towering Greater Caucasus forms a dramatic natural barrier. These peaks capture cold air masses from Russia, creating alpine and subalpine ecosystems. In winter, snow blankets the region for months. In summer, wildflowers burst across green slopes. The remote highlands near Kuba and Sheki are home to dense forests of beech, oak, and hornbeam. Here, one of the rarest predators in the region roams, the Caucasian leopard. Elusive and endangered, it symbolizes the wild heart of the Caucasus. Once nearly extinct in this territory, conservation programs have slowly brought hope for its survival. Moving southward, the terrain shifts dramatically. The Talish region near the Iranian border contains subtropical forests, a climate zone more commonly associated with Southeast Asia than the Caucasus. Moist air from the Caspian Sea creates warm, humid conditions. The forests of the Talish Mountains shelter unique plant species found nowhere else in the world. Chestnut-leaved oak, Persian ironwood, Lankaran acacia. This region near Lankaran receives some of the highest rainfall in the country. Tea plantations stretch across rolling green hills. Citrus orchards flourish. It feels like another world compared to the dry plains of central Azerbaijan. And then, the landscape changes again. Central Azerbaijan reveals semi-arid steppes and mud volcano fields. Around Gobustan National Park, cracked earth and mineral-rich soil dominate the horizon. Yet even here, life persists. Reptiles bask under the sun. Small mammals burrow beneath the dry ground. Spring transforms the steppe into a temporary bloom of wildflowers. To the east lies the Caspian Sea, the world's largest inland body of water. Its ecosystem is unique. It is neither fully freshwater nor fully marine. This brackish environment supports species found nowhere else. The Caspian seal, one of the smallest seal species in the world, inhabits these waters. Sturgeon swim through its depths, historically supplying the region with prized caviar. But biodiversity here extends beyond iconic species. Azerbaijan hosts over 4,500 plant species, nearly 240 mammal species. More than 400 bird species migrate through or nest within its territory. Wetlands along the Caspian coast become seasonal highways for migratory birds traveling between Siberia, Europe, and Africa. The Gazil Agash Reserve becomes a stage for flamingos, pelicans, herons, and eagles. In autumn, the skies fill with wings. Climate diversity defines this land. Subtropical in the south, continental in the central lowlands, alpine in the mountains, semi-desert in the west. Winter temperatures in mountain villages can fall far below freezing. Meanwhile, along the southern coast, citrus trees remain green. Summers in Baku are dry and windy, shaped by the strong northern wind known locally as the Khazri. Spring arrives quickly. Mountain snow melts, feeding rivers that cascade toward the Caspian basin. Water becomes life in this geography, shaping agriculture, wildlife patterns, and settlement. Environmental challenges also shape the modern era. Oil extraction during the Imperial Russian and Soviet periods left industrial scars around the Absheron Peninsula. Pollution affected land and sea ecosystems. In recent decades, efforts have been made to rehabilitate damaged areas, reforest degraded land, and expand protected reserves. National parks now cover significant portions of the country. Conservation zones protect alpine habitats, wetlands, forests, and desert ecosystems. Ecotourism is rising, inviting visitors to witness wildlife, bird migrations, and untouched mountain valleys. Yet climate change presents new risks. Glaciers in the Caucasus are retreating. Rainfall patterns shift. Rising Caspian water levels have alternated between expansion and decline, affecting coastal communities and ecosystems alike. Still, Azerbaijan's natural diversity remains one of its greatest assets. Within a single day's journey, a traveler can move from snowy peaks to sunlit tea fields, from dry desert plateaus to lush subtropical forests. Few countries on Earth offer such rapid environmental transformation across such a compact territory. It is not merely a land of oil and fire, it is a land of forests, mountains, wetlands, deserts, and sea. A place where Europe and Asia meet, not only in culture and politics, but in climate and life itself. And in that meeting, something rare was created. A biological crossroads, a living bridge between continents, a country defined not by one environment, but by many. Azerbaijan stands at the crossroads of civilizations. For centuries, empires passed through this land: Persians, Arabs, Turks, Russians. Each left a mark. Yet the identity of Azerbaijan remains uniquely its own. Religion here is layered. The majority of the population practices Islam, predominantly Shia, but centuries of coexistence shaped a culture defined by tolerance. In the capital city of Baku, modern skyscrapers rise beside historic mosques. The Bibi Haybat Mosque stands as a spiritual landmark overlooking the Caspian Sea. Its domes shimmer under sunlight, reflecting centuries of devotion. Yet Islam is only part of the story. In the mountain village of Kuba, the Red Settlement is home to one of the world's last all-Jewish towns outside Israel and the United States. Synagogues stand peacefully within a Muslim-majority nation. Christian heritage also lives here. The ancient Caucasian Albanian churches in the north tell of early Christianity long before many European regions converted. But beyond religion lies culture, expressed through music, art, and celebration. Traditional Azerbaijani music carries deep emotion. The sounds of tar and kamancha blend into a genre called mugam, a complex improvisational art form. Performances are not merely concerts. They are emotional journeys recognized by UNESCO as a masterpiece of oral heritage. Festivals ignite the streets with color. Novruz, the Persian New Year celebrated each spring, marks renewal and rebirth. Families prepare sweets, light bonfires, and gather around festive tables. Cuisine is perhaps the most intimate expression of identity. At the center of Azerbaijani dining is plov, fragrant saffron rice layered with meat, chestnuts, and dried fruits. Dolma, grape leaves wrapped around spiced fillings, reflects history, while kebabs sizzle over open flames in outdoor markets. Tandir baked bread completes the table. In Lankaran, black tea served in pear-shaped glasses is a national ritual, offered to every guest as a sign of hospitality. Guests are not visitors. They are honored. In rural villages like Sheki, traditional homes still welcome travelers with warmth and local delicacies. This hospitality defines the nation's spirit. Ethnic diversity adds further richness. Beyond the Azerbaijani majority, communities of Lezgins, Talysh, Avars, Russians, and Jews contribute their unique customs and traditions. Carpet weaving remains one of the most celebrated cultural arts. Intricate patterns tell stories of tribes and regions, crafted using centuries-old techniques. Modern Azerbaijan balances tradition with global influence. Fashion, film, and contemporary art thrive in Baku's creative spaces, showcasing a country eager to engage with the world. This is a society shaped by layers of history: Islamic, Persian, Turkic, Caucasian, Soviet, woven into one national fabric. Not divided by difference, but unified through shared pride. Azerbaijan is where traditions meet modernity, where faith meets coexistence, where identity becomes celebration. Discover the soul of the crossroads. Azerbaijan is a nation shaped by geography, history, and the vision of its people. Its economy and politics are intertwined, reflecting centuries of strategic positioning, natural resources, and modern ambition. At the heart of Azerbaijan's economy is oil and gas. The Caspian Sea is rich in hydrocarbons, and Baku has been a center of oil production since the 19th century. Modern pipelines, such as the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan, connect Azerbaijan to global markets, fueling economic growth and international influence. Yet Azerbaijan's economy is more than just energy. Agriculture, tourism, transportation, and technology are key sectors. Fertile valleys produce fruits, vegetables, and tea, while mountainous regions support livestock and traditional crafts. Cities like Baku, Sheki, and Ganja attract tourists with ancient architecture and scenic landscapes. The nation's official currency is the Azerbaijani manat, a stable symbol of economic management. The manat is used across urban and rural areas alike, facilitating daily trade. Politically, Azerbaijan is a presidential republic. Leadership focuses on stability, modernization, and international partnerships, emphasizing development through foreign investment. Baku's skyline illustrates this vision. Oil revenues fund highways, airports, and urban infrastructure, positioning Azerbaijan as a regional leader in the South Caucasus. Azerbaijan's political landscape also reflects its geopolitical significance. Bordering major regional powers, the country balances diplomacy, trade, and security concerns. Rural development is a priority alongside urban modernization. Investments in education and transportation aim to ensure balanced development across all regions. Economic policies emphasize diversification, reducing reliance on hydrocarbons. Technology parks and renewable energy projects create new employment opportunities. Renewable energy projects and sustainable resource management guide long-term growth. Energy security and environmental protection remain central to national strategy. Today, Azerbaijan blends centuries of history with bold modernization. Its economy is dynamic, cities vibrant, and global partnerships growing. Azerbaijan is a bridge between East and West, tradition and innovation, all underpinned by a stable currency that unites its people. Azerbaijan is a land of contrasts, fire that burns endlessly, mountains that touch the sky, cities where medieval towers stand beside glass skyscrapers. If you're visiting Azerbaijan for the first time, here are the 10 favorite destinations that define this extraordinary country. 1. Maiden Tower, Baku. Located in the heart of Baku, the Maiden Tower rises within the ancient walls of Içerişehir. Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, sits along the Caspian Sea and has been a crossroads of trade, culture, and oil wealth for centuries. The Maiden Tower dates back to the 12th century, though its origins may be even older. From its rooftop, the Caspian horizon stretches endlessly. It is the symbol of Baku's past. 2. Ateşgar Fire Temple, Surakhani. In Surakhani, on the Absheron Peninsula near Baku, stands the Ateşgar Fire Temple. This 17th century temple was built by Zoroastrian and Hindu merchants who worshipped natural fire emerging from underground gas vents. Surakhani was once a spiritual center for fire worshippers traveling along the Silk Road. Flames once burned continuously at its altar. It reflects Azerbaijan's identity as the land of fire. 3. Flame Towers, Baku. Modern Baku rises boldly with the flame towers. These 3 curved skyscrapers symbolize fire in contemporary form. At night, LED screens transform the towers into giant flames, visible across the city. They represent Azerbaijan's forward-looking vision. 4. Gobustan National Park. Southwest of Baku lies Gobustan. This UNESCO-listed region contains over 6,000 prehistoric rock carvings. Petroglyphs depict hunting scenes, rituals, and early human life dating back 40,000 years. Nearby mud volcanoes bubble from the earth. This is ancient Azerbaijan revealed in stone. 5. Kinalik, Kuba region. High in the Greater Caucasus Mountains near Kuba lies Kinalik village. Kuba is known for orchards, mountain scenery, and traditional carpets. Kinalik is over 5,000 years old, one of the highest continuously inhabited villages in the region. Stone houses cascade down steep hillsides. Clouds drift below rooftops. 6. Yanardağ, Absheron. On the Absheron Peninsula burns Yanardağ, the burning mountain. Natural gas flames rise directly from the hillside. It has been burning for decades without stopping, a raw natural phenomenon. 7. Lake Goygöl, Ganja. Near Ganja, Azerbaijan's second largest city, lies Lake Goygöl. Ganja is known as the birthplace of poet Nizami Ganjavi and has deep cultural heritage. Lake Goygöl was formed after an earthquake in the 12th century. Its deep blue waters reflect forested mountains. 8. Candy Cane Mountains, Kizi. In the Kizi region, striped red and white hills stretch across the horizon. These mineral-rich formations create surreal patterns. They look painted by nature, a geological masterpiece. 9. Nabran Beach, Caspian Coast. Along the Caspian coastline near Nabran, forests meet sandy shores. It is a peaceful retreat. Gentle waves, coastal breeze, resort cottages, a different face of Azerbaijan. 10. Sheki Khan's Palace, Sheki. In the northwestern city of Sheki stands the Sheki Khan's Palace. Sheki was a major Silk Road trading hub. The palace is famous for stained glass windows called shebeke, crafted without nails or glue. It is one of the finest examples of Caucasian architecture. From ancient towers to burning mountains, from Silk Road palaces to alpine lakes, Azerbaijan is not one destination. It is 10 journeys in one country. And beyond these 10, there is always more waiting to be discovered. Azerbaijan's lifestyle is where tradition and modern energy walk side by side. In the heart of Baku, modern fashion boutiques display international brands, while just streets away, artisans preserve centuries-old craftsmanship. The Azerbaijani identity is deeply woven into its traditional clothing and carpets, symbols of history, pride, and artistic mastery. Traditional attire reflects regional diversity. Men historically wore the chokar, a long wool coat with decorative cartridge holders across the chest, symbolizing strength and honor. Women wore flowing silk dresses in rich jewel tones, embroidered with intricate gold thread, paired with delicate headscarves and handcrafted jewelry. These garments are still worn during festivals, weddings, and cultural celebrations, connecting the present generation to its heritage. Carpet weaving is more than craft, it is storytelling. Azerbaijani carpets, especially from regions like Kuba, Karabakh, and Sheki, are famous worldwide for their geometric patterns, vibrant colors, and symbolic motifs. Each pattern carries meaning: protection, prosperity, nature, and family legacy. In traditional workshops, skilled weavers sit before wooden looms, tying thousands of knots by hand. It can take months, sometimes years, to complete a single masterpiece. Markets and cultural centers proudly display these carpets as works of art, not just household items. Meanwhile, modern Azerbaijani lifestyle embraces shopping malls, contemporary cafes, global cuisine, and nightlife. Families gather in parks. Young professionals meet in stylish urban spaces. Students balance tradition with modern ambition. Tea culture remains essential. In homes and tea houses, black tea is served in pear-shaped glasses, a symbol of hospitality and warmth. Whether in mountain villages or vibrant cities, Azerbaijanis maintain strong respect for guests, elders, and family values. Life here is built on community. It is a country where a young university student may wear modern fashion during the day and traditional attire during a festival at night, where centuries-old carpet designs inspire contemporary art and architecture, where culture is not preserved in museums alone, it is lived. Education plays a central role in Azerbaijan's development. From rural mountain villages to the capital city, schools nurture curiosity and ambition. Classrooms are equipped with digital boards and modern materials. Teachers encourage active participation and creative thinking. Universities such as Baku State University and ADA University represent academic excellence, offering programs in science, technology, economics, and international relations. Students gather on campuses, walking between lectures, discussing ideas, participating in cultural events and sports competitions. Innovation hubs and research centers support entrepreneurship and technological advancement. Education here is not only about textbooks, it is about preparing the next generation to lead a global future while respecting cultural identity. Healthcare in Azerbaijan reflects modernization and accessibility. Major hospitals in Baku and regional centers are equipped with advanced medical technology. Doctors and nurses work with dedication, providing specialized treatment and emergency care. Public health initiatives focus on preventive care, vaccinations, and maternal health. Clinics in smaller towns ensure that even remote communities receive medical attention. Ambulances move efficiently through city streets. Patients receive professional care in clean, modern facilities. Medical staff combine technical expertise with compassion. A nation's strength lies in the health of its people, and Azerbaijan continues investing in that future. Across mountains that touch the sky, across cities where history whispers through stone, across flames that have burned for centuries, Azerbaijan is more than a destination. It is a feeling, a land where nature paints in bold strokes, where fire meets water, and where every horizon tells a story older than memory. It lives in the warmth of shared tea, in the patience of hands weaving tradition, in the laughter of students dreaming forward, in the quiet strength of a nation embracing tomorrow. From ancient caravan routes to modern skylines reaching for the future, Azerbaijan stands proud, rooted in history, rising in ambition. And this is why we travel, not just to see places, but to understand souls, to feel stories, to connect beyond borders. If this journey inspired you, tell us in the comments below. And if you believe the world is full of stories waiting to be discovered, like, share, and subscribe to Global Draft. Until our next journey, keep exploring, keep discovering, keep drafting your global story.